All right, let's call the Michael County Commissioners Court to order this Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, as this. Call the roll.
Judge Commissioner Weir. Here. Commissioner Eager.
Here.
Commissioner Easton. Here. Commissioner White.
Here.
Please join us.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the invocation. Dear Lord, we are here to discuss topics that will benefit people in our community and our country. We want to think about how we can make life easier for everyone. Come and give us the wisdom to make the right decisions. Let us not make these decisions, these bad decisions, but decisions based on solving the problems of your children. Be our leader, Lord, during this meeting and show us the way, because you have chosen us to be here. Give us direction and let us not think with our own selfish interests, but open our eyes to the spiritual solution and make our country great. We are thankful for all you've given us. We're especially thankful for the rain you have sent. We will continue to pray and give you thanks. Amen.
So when last we met, we had a public hearing on the countywide COLI process, seeking public input as to its success or not success. And because we had a glitch in the notification process, we extended the public hearing through today before we submit our responses to the Secretary of State. And at this point, I'm going to open the public hearing. there anyone who has signed up who wants to speak? Regarding the countywide polling program. All right, so it appears we have three folks that I think that want to talk about the countywide polling. Ms. Deanne Welch.
I am Deanna Welch, Chair of the Military Party of Blanco County. I welcome countywide polling, provided that the number of polling places do not fall below the current number of 5. It should be noted that our outgoing elections officer previously voted to provide only 3 polling places, thereby contrary to state law. Of course, I believed at the time, and I still believe today, that the countywide polling place program was only being initiated in Blanco County to facilitate closure of polling places and later to cover for the flawed redistricting choices made by this Commissioner's Court. Recorded conversations in this Commissioner's Court meetings substantiate my beliefs. Today, January 24, 2023, I am speaking during part 2 of the public hearing concerning countywide polling for Blanco County. During part 1, held on January 10th, Carla Lewis, Chair of the Republican Party of Blanco County, entered a false statement into the record. She said, and I quote, Republican Party voters represent approximately 75% of the registered voters in the county. However, checking the number of votes cast in the last Republican Party primary on March 1st, 2022, only 2,806 of a possible 9,727 voters aligned with the Republican Party in accordance with Title 10 of the Election Code. Thus, statutorily speaking, the Republican Party of Blanco County represents only 28.84% of the voting population in this county at this time, while 71.16% are defined by state law as independent, third party, or by virtue of voting the Democrat primary, Democrat fields. It is such pervasive, falsehoods, regulatory violations, and blatant political bias both tolerated and promoted by this Commissioner's Court concerning the administration of the Texas Election Code, which provokes my comments. It is my hope that we will be recorded by Secretary of State personnel who signal their need to perfect their oversight duties prior to granting the successful status for countywide polling being sought by Blanco County today.
Mr. Kenneth Welch.
Good morning. On July 27, 2021, this court voted to close voting precinct 304 in violation of section 42031, which requires voting precinct boundary changes in March or April. The court knowingly and willfully voted unanimously even after Judge Gray cited the statute requirements on April 13th, and I reminded them of their unlawful action prior to the vote. By eliminating precinct 304, Blanco County came into compliance with the countywide polling place program requirement that does not allow more than a 2-to-1 ratio of polling places in any commissioner's precinct. 2 weeks ago, I requested Kristen Speeds to include analysis of the voter experience within the old precinct 304 area from the 2020 general election versus the voters from the same geographical area in 2022 general election. I hope we will be presented the results of that analysis in today's hearing. It is unfortunate that your desire to reduce polling places took precedence over safe, fair, and easy voting for all citizens in Blanco County. Many errors were made in preparation of both applications for the countywide program. To hasten the reduction in polling places, many misstatements, distortions of data, manipulation of the process, and I believe unlawful actions were taken. It is unfortunate because the countywide polling program is a good program when applied properly to make voting safe, fair, and easy for all voters. Had care been taken in the run-up to the original countywide polling application, the voting precinct 302 polling place at the North County Annex could have been eliminated, meeting the ratio requirement and leaving Johnson City polling place a Johnson City polling place for the convenience of the Johnson City residents without causing greatly increased distances for voters in the far northeast corner of Blanco County. On November 8th, I voted in Johnson City to see how well the process worked. There is no doubt that the process and the systems are excellent and it worked very well. The poll workers were knowledgeable and very helpful. However, the distances for the old 304 voters made voting more difficult, not easier. If approved for continued use of the countywide polling place program, Blanco County should consider reopening the Cypress Mill polling place and closing voting precinct 302 at the North Annex. Here's a copy of my comments for the public record.
Arlette Lewis.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. I'm Arlette Lewis. I'm chairperson of the Blanco County Republican Party. I fully support countywide polling. I've heard overwhelming support and success for the program that was implemented in our last election cycle. I stated this previously, and I apologize for the redundancy. Blanco County, you can look back at, on the Secretary of State website. It's easily accessible to anybody at any time that has the internet. Blanco County Republican Party consistently represents approximately 74% of the voter turnout in each and every election that comes through Blanco County. I will stand by that statement, and again, you can look that up on the Secretary of State website or Blanco County website as well. In previous elections prior to countywide polling being available to our voters, I personally witnessed voters missing their opportunity to vote because they arrived at the wrong precinct on election day. People that work in San Antonio or Austin or Burnet or elsewhere have to travel a great distance, basically no matter where they live, because they choose to vote on election day, which is certainly their right. They would show up here at precinct 302 at the annex 15 minutes before the polls close. We have, not me, the election workers would have to tell them, I'm sorry, you have to go to Cypress Mill, or you have to go to Round Mountain, or you got to go to Blanco. They would miss their opportunity to vote. That absolutely happened, and I witnessed it. To me, that is voter suppression. The countywide polling, people could vote at any location they chose to at any time. That there was no confusion. Many times voters would not realize they had to go to the Catholic Church here. It's inconvenient for voters. They could show up at any voting location during any voting hours. Again, unanimous support for the countywide polling. I feel our elections office and administrator did a very good job of implementing this. Absolutely, you'll see glitches in systems when they're brand new to the environment. But I feel like there's overwhelming success and support for this program. Thank you.
All right, before we close the public hearing, is there anyone else who wishes to speak on the countywide polling program? described. Would you fill out a form after the fact, please, and would you come take the microphone? All right. Ma'am, they can't describe, you can do the form later.
Go ahead.
Just come speak.
Oh.
Let's keep moving.
Yes, sir. I was thrown by your.
Speak your thoughts now. Let's do the form after.
I just wanted to comment on that, so I didn't know that was, and I'm here for different reasons. But anyway, in regard to closing the polling place in Cypress Mill, where I was the there, I was disappointed about the distance that those people had to travel. And in the northeast corner of the precinct, it was a greater distance than I had heard some people speak of. But anyway, not to cause any trouble and just, but Mr. Welch's proposal could possibly have been a consideration as far as the distance. But since there are not as many people in that area, it seemed reasonable to go. And the voter turnout at Cypress Mill was very low. It did seem reasonable to go ahead and close that polling place.
Can I ask you a question?
Excuse me?
In your estimation, and you're the former judge of that precinct,
Yes.
which was more important? If you had to choose, keeping 304 or having countywide polling? You can't have one, you can't have both, you can have one or the other, which would you do?
I do believe the countywide polling has been beneficial. That is a beneficial idea, provided everything is executed and flows correctly. The inconvenience of those people that are having to drive from the further corner of the county, I believe is doable because a person should not, the importance of being able to vote should surpass any slight inconvenience of the driver.
Give you one more choice, but you have to pretend you're a county commissioner. You either have to close 304 and you can have countywide polling, or you can keep 304 and not have countywide polling, or you can open up 3 more precincts, one in each of their. Which would you do?
I would have to say that it is a reasonable thing to go ahead and close the polling place. I would have liked to, eliminate.
Well, you were the judge there a long time, right?
I was. And it was a little, hurtful and sad to have to step down and do that. And sometimes we just have to do what we have to do to try to keep things moving smoothly, and it's not all about me.
Please don't forget to fill out a form before you leave today, so she has record.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Going twice. 3 times. I hereby close the public hearing on the countywide polling program. Commissioners have any discussion on this item at the moment? Then let's move to public comment. One party's member, Ms. Jenkins. You have with you Michael, I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly, is it Dislati?
Daylight.
And he's listed as public comment, but the subject matter seems to be your item. Do you want to speak now, sir, or are you part of it?
I'll wait till after she speaks.
Okay, anything else? I don't see anything else. Let's move on to item 1, minutes.
I'd like to move the dispense with the reading of the minutes and to approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll say,
Mr. Reed, for discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. There are no line item transfers I'm aware of. So we'll move to item 3.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the outstanding bills in the amount of $693,931.43. But I'd like to also add the payment for the copier, the internet, and the phone that came in after the deadline. So that won't be late
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Weir, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 4. Is Mr. Schulmeyer here? So I'm saying. He's pretty tall. Okay. Well, hopefully he will be here. Hopefully he's having trouble with the rain. Because I see we have Mr. Oakley here, and, I'm not sure, is this, Herbert here? No? Okay. Well, item 4 is, there are going to be 2 checks presented that, I steered, one to finish off the community paramedic program contributions through us of $60,000 for the second vehicle for the second paramedic for what has become a wildly popular program. And the second check will be $40,000 to the Johnson City Housing Authority. In my contact with the executive director, she identified a project and a need that they had, and she did say they would accomplish it with that amount of money. So we have 2 checks to, I guess Mr. Schulmeyer has a check on it to split those 3 checks. I guess we'll wait on him and possibly come back to that item 5. Mr. McMahon is here to make a presentation and update on the fire code.
Good morning. Good morning. I just want to give a presentation on the fire code, on its status and how it's going overall. So the code was adopted in October 2021. Since then, our office consists of 4 inspectors.
You can bring just a smidge closer to that microphone, because people can't hear you.
Check that, I want to make sure it's on.
That says,
It's not.
Push the button.
hello? All right. Okay, so we established fire code and adopted the office of the fire official in October 2021. Since then, we staffed 4 fire inspectors that include 3 inspectors, 3 investigators, and 1 arson investigator. We have conducted 126 inspections throughout the county. Those inspections include on-site inspections for pre-planning, ongoing inspections for buildings, so final inspections, certificate inspections to open up their business. They also range from, we've done a few storage tank installs for fire suppression on airports, for private runways, fireworks stands. So out of those 126 inspections, we've issued 26 building permits and 10 certificates of occupancy. County continues to grow. Most of the growth is west and north, West Johnson and Brown Mountain area. We're working on some big projects such as the Vineyard Springs apartment complex, just outside Johnson City on the left. But right now, we're doing really well. The only challenge right now is not, even though it's been established since 2021, it's still new to a lot of people coming in and building. So that's the challenge is getting the word out there to catch buildings late in the process. But we're still trying to work with those people. There are spots in the code that says, we can penalize them for penalty, but we're trying to incentivize the program and promote it. So right now, it's just sometimes catching up on buildings that are already built. Is there any questions?
Did you, that last line or 2 about working with people to try to get them compliant, did you have any success with that hotel on the west end of the county?
No, we did not. We worked well with them. They got to fall outside the code. There's a spot in our code that says that they moved dirt before that certain time frame. So they could have started the foundation or anything 2, 3, 4, 5 years before that. They would fall outside the code. That was a hiccup, but we got through that one. And the rest of all the businesses have been great. We haven't had really confrontation with anybody, because usually we're open door, but during that, we sold them before they started their project. So minus the hotel, everything else is gone really well.
And to put it in the different words, they basically stated that they were grandfathered and didn't have to comply with code because they were first of the time.
That's correct.
And should we worry about that? Because we're talking about people staying in the building.
So we're able to, we met with the assistant county attorney, and we're able to still implement life safety hazards, which is fire extinguishers, smoke detectors, exit plans, and that they're compliant on. They just got outside of some of the suppression stuff and fire alarm monitor and stuff like that.
So do you have any opinions on how we can get the word out further?
No, I mean, it's already on the county's website. Anyone that's building a commercial establishment probably goes to that website first, because there's going to be a septic permit, or there's going to be a subdivision, there's going to be a subdivision where it's an RV park. I would assume they would go there first, and I guess past that's just word of mouth. I already see, I think they're advertising the fire code. I think that kind of website's a good spot, and I think we have it on our ESC website as well. So.
Anyone? Thanks, sir. Next up, Amber Porter. Amber, I've worked so hard to remember your married name, I've got your maiden name. But I would like to point out that Amber, really has come back to the county after education. She's a native, really kind of Blanco. And just as a point of interest, because we all know about the legend of Bradley Nance as a cross-country runner. Amber actually was before Bradley. You actually went to the state meet also, did you?
Yes, I was the first couple of Blanco. I was my boyfriend, I'm so sorry. But yes, first girl Blanco over in St. Cross-country. Long time ago. Well, thank you for having me. I'm here to talk about and just kind of provide some information and get support for COAT. I work for Blanco ISD, and we have a federal grant that we had for 5 years, and then we reapplied again and got for another 5 years. And it's to fund a community coalition, and our coalition is made up of all different community members. We have law enforcement, schools, businesses, media, government, child serving agencies, religious groups, parents, students, healthcare workers, and media. And what our primary goal has been is to reduce and prevent youth substance abuse. Our service area is the Blanco Independent School District, but we kind of have broadened a little bit. The grant has opened up, and we really try and work on all different issues within the county and our community, like the mental health gaps that we see, kind of making sure our motto with COAP is like the healthier our community is in general, the healthier our youth are going to be. And so it is a substance abuse prevention grant, but we have like broadened and we're working on lots of different programs. And so our main goal is just to keep our youth as healthy as possible. We have 3 main substances that we work on. We do a community assessment every year and collect data to see what's happening in our school with our kiddos. And our 3 big substances that we kind of focus on with the grant are alcohol, marijuana, and e-cigarettes and vapes. And so we also keep an eye on things like fentanyl. That isn't necessarily something we're seeing with the data here, but it is something that is around the area. When we see ticks in it, we make sure to educate. And then meth is something, methamphetamines is something that has been around the Blanco community for a while. So just making sure we're keeping up with that education and different things as well. But I wanted to share some of our different initiatives with y'all, and one of the recent ones that we've been working on, just kind of so you know about our program and for support and different things like that. So we provide a lot of in-school education to our students, and then also some education to our parents, just about what's going on and what we're seeing and what we need support with. We've also started working on it a program that's called Say Something or Start with Hello. So it's also working on like the violence prevention and making sure that we're creating a community where our kids watch out for each other and that just to keep everyone safe at school as well. So we're working on that. We do student screenings and referrals for kiddos that come in and may need help or are struggling in some way. We want to make sure they get the services they need. I partner with a lot of different community agencies, the CRC here, Interagency Council to work on some of those mental health issues that we have in the community, some of those gaps, making sure that our community is getting the services we need. We do an annual wellness fair. This year, it's a little bit earlier. We usually have it in April, but we're having it March 1st. And so we try and get all the agencies that provide services in our community to come. We have free food. It's all ages. We invite from little kids, elderly. We have all different agencies in the whole community. It's really a way to get those services out there because we have a lot of great programs in this community. And we want to make sure those services are being utilized to help our families. Another big campaign, and kind of something we do for awareness and many different reasons. It's called Not in My House, but it is, we take pieces of that program. It's really about like parents taking a stand and saying like, I'm not going to host parties for my kids and for things like that. This is going to be a drug-free zone. But we do two parts of it are our sticker shop program. We do a concession stand sticker shop every year where we have stickers that we place on all the concession stand items as an awareness to our parents, letting them know what COAPT is and our support. And it just talks to them about parents are the number one reason why kids choose not to use drugs, like to talk to your teens, to make sure that just different little messages about parent education. And the other one we do, and we just did recently, we try and do it twice a year. And it's kind of a project, it's a community sticker shop, but it's a project that targets a couple different things, or we have a couple different goals when we do it. And we go around and we put stickers that say weight on them, and then they have the fine for buying alcohol to minors. And so the bright orange stickers, and we put them on all the beer boxes in town. And one part of that is that maybe those 21, 22, 23-year-olds that come back home for the holidays and might be tempted to buy alcohol for a big party, right? Because that's where the most risk is, those big parties for kids. They make it twice before they buy. But the other big point of that project is to really make relationships with the stores around the community. Because what we found in our data in the last year or so, probably 2 years, I guess, because before that it wasn't really a problem, but we've seen an increase in the amount of stores, the amount of kids reporting that they're buying vapes and alcohol directly from our stores. And so we want to build a relationship with our convenience stores and different stores in the community because we don't want to place blame and give them the benefit of the doubt, but let them know like it's important that we aren't selling to minors. And so sometimes maybe we want to work on some programs to help with like training for carding, to make sure they're carding appropriately, or some tools to help them with that. Fake IDs has been something that's come up really just in the last 6 months with our kiddos. And so making sure they know how to identify those and not just provide some support and let them know that that is something that's important to us as a community. We don't want our kids buying alcohol and vapes. And so that's another big part of that program, is just to build those relationships with communities, do more compliance checks, come up with different ways that we can incentivize when stores are being compliant and praise them for that. And then also the fines and things when they're not being compliant, when they are selling to minors. So that's one of our big projects because the grant is really about making those long-term environmental changes, like reducing kids' access, changing our attitudes and beliefs about youth use, and how we can really support those kids and make them as healthy as possible, and mental health, physical health, all of that around. So just here to talk about COAPT and your support. We have a meeting, some of you have been, so I know that the third Friday of every month at 10. We have our monthly meetings, and anyone is welcome. We're always wanting more input and volunteers. And then that is about it. I just want to share my program. Any questions?
I asked them to make this presentation to you all for a couple of reasons. One, because you all are out and about all over the county. And when I heard about at the recent meeting, I heard about the student shot program. I thought, that's interesting. We might like to know. Might raise probably several areas because you are all over the county. The second reason is I hope that maybe presenting to the Commissioner's Court, she might get a little more play, a little more publicity. Because it's not just a micro program, they're all over.
Yeah, I know.
The city.
Yeah, I grew up here, so I know that if what's happening in Blanco is happening in Johnson City, and so, yeah, I partner with, I try and get on as many boards as I can just to be around, and, I work with the Wesley nurse here, and I'm part of the Child Advocacy Board, and different things like that, so yes, I try to be all over the county, because healthier our county is, and better, so.
I guess just my last comment would be, lucky for you that you don't see a lot of family, because when you said that,
Yes,
I noticed Mr. Oakley's face. And
yeah, I know.
he clearly is seeing.
Yes, and that's been the increase the last month. That's like we've already done presentations, like as soon as the deaths started happening, I guess in Hayes County last month, we already made presentations to all of our high school students, all of our middle school, or 8th grade through seniors, and then parents too, just letting them know, you never know what you're keeping. We work very closely with the Counter Drug Task Force and the HIDA, which are like statewide agencies, and they come in with the data, like the 42% of fentanyl on the streets, lethal dose, and all these things. So, yeah, it's scary. We do not want our kids venturing in that direction. That's what we're here for, is prevention, so that's what we hope to do. Thank you.
Okay.
How many people you got turn out to your
So far, we have, so usually, we do it every year, and we moved it, we have about 180 on average. Usually, like, I think the highest we were, this is our 6th year, and we've had it like at the rec center and at the high school. I'll be on maternity leave in April, so that's why we moved it to March, so we'll see the turnout earlier in the year. But yeah, we've had, I think the most we had was like 250. And then the least I think we had was like right at like 175. But we have a really good turnout from the community. We have prizes that like are incentives for them to come. Gift cards that we give out throughout, but also like big prizes. If they go and visit every single agency, then they get like blackout bingo, and they get to be in line for like last year we had AirPods. This year we had like those wireless headphones and everything. So kind of some incentives to get to them, but it's very successful. So everyone's welcome. If you have anything health related, just contact me and you can have a table there. So.
Why don't you bring the communities?
Yes. Yeah, that's so exciting.
We're hoping there's gonna be a big yellow blue helicopter.
Yes,
Yeah.
there is.
I know, it's like, oh, please do, grab everything off from yesterday, so, yes, I'm planning all that, where we can park, so, we'll facilitate that, so. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Jenkins, item 7, would like to discuss closing a steering committee for veterans. I'm gonna call it tribute. It says memorial here on the agenda.
We're indecisive. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. For those of you who might not know me, I'm Sherry Smith Jenkins. I am a 5th generation Blanco County, or 6th generation Texas, but I am the current regent for the Philadelphia chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And for those of you who might not know what we do with the Daughters, to be a member, your family has to have served and fought for America's freedom from Britain. So that's how that comes down the track.
But we are very much in tune to veterans, because without our veterans, without these people making these sacrifices, you and I wouldn't be sitting here today doing what we're doing. Our children, our grandchildren, so we feel it's very important to remember these folks and honor them. And we do that throughout the United States. We're, and worldwide, we are a million plus strong. At any rate, the other thing we do, of course, is education. We do a lot of education. We have worked to try to get into the school systems, and we're building a scholarship fund. So that's a little bit about what we do. And there is a men's organization on the other side if anybody is interested. But basically what this has been, and I've been talking to the judge for years. I've had, I just felt really that we as a community should honor our veterans in some manner. So as I have traveled throughout the state of Texas in my other full-time volunteer job for the last 5 or 6 years, I always go to the courthouses, I go to different counties, and I look at what they do to honor their community veterans. And I've taken a lot of pictures, studied a lot of them and what have you, just to kind of get an idea. Even when I travel out of state, I've done the same thing, to kind of mentally come up with it. As all of you are probably aware, there are now 6 branches of the service of armed forces with the new Space Command. And for those, there's insignias for that. You know, a potential, I've spoken with the judge many times about possibly doing it on some of the county land here within the city of Johnson City. So the goal was to create a committee that would investigate where it could be, what it could be, what it would cost, how it would be built, and how it would be funded. So a lot of the things, you know, you have flags. You might have the emblems at the bottom of the flagpoles. A memorial, whether it's in a cemetery where we construct these, is generally a memorial as a remembrance place where family can go and revisit their loved one. So the program that I've been working with for the last 4 years, I've been the project manager for the Daughters of the Republic of Texas. And my responsibility in this was to build and construct a 14,000 square foot building, which encompasses the Daughters of the Republic of Texas new home, meeting rooms, family research center, and a museum and archival towers. And within that, because we are a 501(c), we have to pay for it just like everybody else. So for the last 5 years, I've also been their fundraiser. There were ladies that came before me, did a wonderful job. I did not do it all. I constructed the building. I'm finishing that completion, and it will open March 25th. It's located at 810 San Marcos Street, right next to the historic French legation on Robertson Hill. One of the ways that we have paid for this is the flagpoles. We had people, we went out, we asked people, groups or whatever, to sponsor a flagpole. You know, we go out and do our budgetary items about what the design is going to be, and then we can put together the elements. The other thing we did was sold pavers. We did that here at the library, and there are different elements. And so an $8 million building, gentlemen, will come out with this now. We have done such a fantastic job with our donors. When we close it out next month, we're gonna only owe a little bit over $500,000. So I'm pretty aggressive, as some of you might know. When you believe in something, it's really easy to sell it, and I
believe in a Veterans Memorial for Wayne County. I believe that it's important that we, as the leadership and the adults within the confines of this county, that we set aside a place and we show our young people that we care about their service. We have, the basics of this committee would be to investigate a design, the cost of it, and a place for it to be built. And that preferably would be on county land, because it would be a county function. Once this is done, we would, this investigative committee gets all of our ducks in a row, if I might say. A schedule be submitted, a design, the proposal, and the budgeting, and how we're going to get to the end. There's one piece that I'm not quite sure of yet, is as once we're given the go-ahead back with the proposal and everybody's on board, is how we collect those funds. How are we going to collect those funds and distribute them and pay the bills to get this done? So that's something that we still have to do.
All you're asking for today is.
Yes, just, that's right.
It's just through the commission.
Yes, but this is one of the things that you can do for fundraising is benches. You put names, sayings on it and whatever, and then the family's name on it. Maybe it could be a group's name. There are a lot of things. There are 4 names, and originally I think I had Wayne Gosnell on your agenda. Mr. Gosnell, with his work with the night sky, just could not do that. So we have tapped into another member, but the members that we're asking to be, and the committee to be formed would be Lita Garcia. Many of you are familiar with Lita. Her husband, Joe Garcia, led the search a few years ago to have a Veterans Memorial. Nothing could ever be finally designed to do that. Lita is also a member of the Hill Country chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and has served on many committees as well in county functions in Kendall County. Clay Simpson, many of you are aware of Clay. Clay's a 5th generation Blanco County. He worked almost 20 years as a military contractor, working with the military, with their contracts. His family served in World War II and in Korea. And then and I'm going to slander your last name. Daylock. So I just didn't call him Mike. Mike is the last commander of the American Legion in Blanco, Texas, and I've spoken with their commander, and this was his recommendation as well, and when I went to Lita to talk to her. So we've kind of done some background to get some good nuggets. And then myself, born and raised here, I've already given you my credentials. It's very important to me because my husband also spent 26 years in the United States Air Force and retired. And my son, my youngest son, 20-year Marine, he still works for the Marine Corps in Quantico. So I think it's important that we make a stand publicly and we show that we care for this. So I would like for the Commissioner's Court to, whatever you do, to get this done.
You want us to make that appointment?
That's right. Yes, sir.
So, what about the northwest corner of the courthouse where?
Behind the annex, that, no,
Where Judge Guthrie, I think Judge Guthrie,
place the gun.
got the can. And I believe there's a plaque on it that says something to the effect of it's in honor.
It is, and there has been for many years in the halls here at the courthouse, plaques that were originally done, probably through the Historical Commission. And I served on that and have for a long time. We could not find a way to really carry that forward and get that. And as our county grows, we want everybody to be acknowledged that wants to be there. So that wasn't maybe the best format for us.
You're thinking of more.
I'm thinking of more, yes, sir. I'm thinking of a place where there's benches. I'm thinking where the flags are there. These,
And just for the commissioner's benefit, we don't know how this is gonna work out. You're just gonna take me to look at it, but the conversations we've had, your orientation is to find other sources of funding in the county.
yes, sir, I believe this endeavor can fund itself. I believe that because of what I've been doing. Not because of me, but because people care, companies care, and so it would be for everyone to be recognized. But I do not believe it will ever, there are grants to be written, things that can be done.
Would anyone like to make a motion to appoint Sherry Jenkins, Clay Simpson, Billy Garcia, and Mike? You know what, before you do that, Mr. Glock, you did sign up, did you want to say anything? Briefly?
Well, I can't say that I'm from Lockwood County, but I have recently moved here in 2022. I'm Mike Galard with the American Legion Post in Block 352. I'm vice commander at this time. I also work with the county. So having a Veterans Memorial in the county, and I'm all for it. I'd like to see that. I was appointed chair for the Post last year. Post about 3 years ago had started designs. We actually have a design. We had some property that was going to be donated, but it stopped short. And then I became involved, and that was started at the end of last year. So I was trying to get the road running this year, and that's when I met her. And decided this would be a good push for the American Legion to support and go forward with. Because it will honor all of Johnson County, and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted, or not Johnson County, Blanco County. We wanted everybody. We want to reach everybody. And I think this would be a good thing to do.
Thank you. Anybody?
So I make a motion to appoint a steering committee to study the idea of creating a veterans memorial on county property. With Sherry Jenkins, Clay Simpson, Lita Garcia, and Wayne Dawson. No, not Wayne, but Mike.
Mine, yes. Yes.
Is there a second? Mr. Riley seconds. Discussion. All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. We will leave it in your hands. Come back to this when you have something.
Thank you, Judge Gray, Commissioners, appreciate it.
Item 8, Ms. Fry has a proposed resolution regarding border security. Can you keep it?
Yes, sir.
Succinct?
Yes, sir. I'm not familiar with this so much, but we are addressing you. We're grateful for this opportunity. My name is Pat Fry, and I live in the north part of Blanco County in Cypress Mill area, but you're on the fourth generation on our part. We have a problem down at the border, as everybody in this room can attest to, that there is an out of control issue going on down here. We are very concerned that, that it just goes without saying that it has disrupted the peace and tranquility that we are supposed to be guaranteed from governing officials that are supposed to be tending to that on a federal level. There has been a major failure on that. And I have a couple of ladies here that are firsthand
testimonies of things that they have experienced in this regard that I would like for you to hear today. The rest of, what we would like is, for you to sign a resolution that would be calling for additional measures to secure the border, to stop the invasion at the border, and to protect our communities. As a county, you'd be able to do that in support of those that are suffering in the border area. There's lots going on there, and I just wanted y'all to be to hear firsthand. I will let these ladies introduce themselves. Judge Brady, should I hand you guys a written the resolution?
We have the resolution.
You do have it? Oh, very good, okay, thank you.
And, again, we keep.
Yes, sir, I'll make you aware.
But, this resolution, it's not just, it hadn't just been presented to Lincoln County, has it?
No, sir.
It's really probably are there any counties that it hasn't been presented to? Because most every county judge I know is aware of this.
Correct, as far as I know, there's an effort.
My point being, it doesn't matter whether you're in the city of Blanco or Mount Pleasant or Muleshoe, the border issue seems to be of concern to every county commissioner's court.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Sherry, I would like you to come on first. These are two Blanco property owners, and I would just like for you to hear their testimonies.
My name is Sherry, and my experience with the border is more of a disappointment for our family. My son-in-law just recently became a citizen using the correct pathway just a few months ago. It took him approximately 7 years from the time he applied for a student visa. It cost him approximately $15,000. It also put a lot of fear in his life because he would get emails stating, you have 30 days to get your effects together, you're leaving the country on this day, only to receive an email 24 to 48 hours before that date saying, okay, now we're reviewing, you can stay. This happened multiple times, and it's very disheartening and disappointing to our family to see the border left unsecured, and especially for him because he takes such pride and joy in his citizenship in this country. So we look at it from a different point of view in addition to a security issue.
And two things. Your last name?
Wilkerson.
And you do understand that if Blanco County, the Commissioner to adopt this resolution, it's just a show of support.
Yes.
That Blanco County doesn't operate a militia or anything like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Dana Lewis. I grew up here. I was here in the 70s and 80s. I now live in Brackettville. I've been out in that area since 1996, between Del Rio and Brackettville, and then my husband's ranch is northeast of Del Rio, so we are in that triangle. And we really did not have any stories at all until the last 4 years, and especially in the last 2 years. So when she asked me to tell personal accounts, there are so many stories now that we don't have time to hear them. Our concern is the cartels, and it's just between Del Rio and Eagle Pass, when they set up, the cartel completely is controlling the river, and they decide who crosses, what time, where, depending on if they're family units or if they have criminal records. They're just in a really big mess. So it's getting worse, it's not getting better. Any support that you could show to the governor to continue in his efforts to fight against what the president is not doing that would be greatly appreciated.
And you now live in,
Bracket Road, so we're in
but you
Kenny,
do live in,
Valerie County and Kenny County.
and you're on social media. So, and anybody that wants to see some harrowing stories of looking at your backyard, if you live in Valerie County, they can see those.
Right, yes, what we're having the most trouble with is the smuggling. And so the big groups that you see on TV are family units, and the cartels do that to distract the border patrol because they're processing. And so in the meantime, that's when they do all the smuggling on foot and by car with all the people that we really just don't want in the country.
And just to give a flavor for your roots, your dad was Clay Stubbs, for that area here. I have a question, and then people want to move on, I have to ask you, what happened? He had patents, he did a lot of really interesting horse industry things, he had some patents. What happened to those as he passed away?
Well, his secretary has taken over that part of the business, as far as I understand.
He was a really fine person and an excellent vet.
Okay.
Anybody have a motion on the proposed resolution?
I make a motion to approve the resolution for the governor supporting border security.
Is there a second? I'll say, Commissioner, your discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, authorization to purchase debt book software for county auditor's office.
I'd like to move to authorize county judge to sign an order form and agree for debt book software deemed to comply with the reporting requirements of the GAS 396 effective this fiscal.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Eastman, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, specs and proposal for retrofitting a food casket. If there are any questions, Sheriff's here.
I make a motion to approve the specs and proposal for retrofitting a food basket from Sustainable Security Solutions.
Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Bryant, discussion. It's going to take me a while to, I still stumble a little bit. Remember, I've had to see it a long, long time. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, requesting the court's approval to transfer Josh Busey from precinct 1 to reserve deputy precinct 4. Constable Fisher is on the premises, but not able to be in the room, but he, as I understand it, is in concurrence with moving the truck to the south precinct. And Constable Steuben is here to answer any questions you might have about, and he is in full support of accepting Mr. Busey as the reserve constable down there. So if you have questions, we have people answering, and if you don't, we appreciate a motion to approve the transfer.
Commissioner Stevens, are you in support of it?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve the transfer request to move Josh Busey from precinct 1 constable office to precinct 4 constable office and to include the 2007 Ford F-150 currently assigned.
Is there a second? Commissioner Weir, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. There's a racial profiling report provided by the investigator for the county attorney's office. You can see, indicates he does not make traffic stops, basically. But I need your acknowledgement of his report.
I move that we acknowledge the racial profiling court for the county attorney investigator.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Takes us to item 13, the specs and approval for purchase of a tow truck.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept the specs and purchase of a field trailer for precinct 2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Wood.
Sorry.
Discussion. It's 24 feet.
Yeah, 24 foot. Field trailer. The other trailer we have is, this new trailer will pay for itself and tires, because we can't go 100 miles without wearing out a couple of tires, brand new.
All in favor say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 14, authorization to advertise for employee in precinct 2.
Yes, seeing as how one of my men transferred to precinct 3, I like to advertise for employment, so I'll make that my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Reader, discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item 15, this is the subdivision that we spoke of last time. Promised to be back on this agenda if things got corrected.
Correct. And talking with Casey and talking with Candace and Mason at the appraisal district, the plat is good. And Mr. Petersburg, you approved, you've got the renewed numbers ran in the water availability, in which, according to this, everything is good.
Yes, sir.
So with that being said, I will make a motion to approve the final plat for Round Mountain Reserve Phase 2.
Is there a second?
No, sir.
Commissioner Reader, discussion. So, Mr. Beasley, are we ever going to think, well, do you imagine ever seeing a case where you're not going to find enough water for a subdivision proposed?
I would find it very difficult under the subdivision regulations. And I'll give you an example. I've seen situations where you can have a well making 1 gallon a minute, and you can put in a storage tank, and you can have a boost pump, and it'll produce adequate water. It just depends on what people are putting up with. Similarly, if you've got poor water quality, like down at the Brushy Top subdivision, they've got terrible sulfate problem, but it's treatable. You can put RO systems in. So right now, under the current subdivision regulations with 5-acre lot minimums for private wells, that seems to be working okay. But what my concern is right now is the cumulative effect. We can look at a particular subdivision and find that there's adequate water for that proposed subdivision, but then another one moves in and they deal with that water availability report as a separate entity. And there's really, I think, a need to look at the cumulative effect of subdivisions over a county-wide area. And that's going to require some discussion with the commissioners and some consultants perhaps, as far as the geology and hydrology goes. But I think it's something we need to look into.
Well, to be clear, I am not casting aspersions or casting doubt on this particular subdivision proposal. I'm using this opportunity because it's on my mind. I think every commissioner gets confronted frequently with people saying there's no more water, there's going to be no more water, or my well's going to be dry, and lots of concerns about water. And it seems to me that the only control commissioners have depends on you.
Well, okay, I will counter that with saying that the water availability reports are what's critical. We learn so much from those. It's so important. Even if it shows that there's very little water available, that gives a heads up to that situation at that particular tract of land. And that applies both to subdivisions and to RV parks, that sort of thing. And it's really critical that we continue that and require those under current subdivision regulations and RV park regulations, because you know, sometimes we find something that catches their attention. Maybe their well produces 1 or 2 gallons a minute and they need 30. That means that they've got to come up with a plan B or whatever. So I believe that the water availability regulations the county has are critical to reasonable and appropriate development in Blanco County. And if I'm a part of it, that's fine.
Well, am I missing the point? Because up until this moment, I have been under the impression that, you would be the one, that you understand these better than I do for sure. I don't know about the commissioners. But that you would be sounding the alarm if the alarm needed to be sounded.
I think that's a true statement. And that's why I appreciate being able to work with the commissioners and see how the water availability studies work for us, and if there's any improvements that need to be made, then I'm willing to discuss those with the commissioner too. So I think we're on a good track here. I will say, to answer your first question, we have yet to deny an application for a subdivision or an RV park based on either low water production or water quality issues. There's always workarounds, but the fact that we have that information to start with is critical, that we can work with the developer to create a situation where we can have a comfortable process to move forward with that subdivision or RV park that will protect everybody, the developer, the purchasers of the land, the county commissioners court, the groundwater district, and perhaps even the neighboring property owners. So I think we're doing good stuff here.
Well, Mr. Stephen, you, during one of our previous workshops, or when we were working on our subdivision regulations, we brought up the idea of regulating the well permit to 3 to 6 gallons or something to increase the requirements. And it was discouraged at that time to say that we could do that because a person with 1 gallon can put a cistern on it or whatever and have plenty of water wherever they can. But, and I also was under the impression that you really wouldn't, the water district would really want to support something like that on the county level, restricting gallons per minute. And then I have one other thing on the collective impact. When we had that discussion earlier, I was talking about maybe 3 to 5 mile radius or something of the subdivision, having a collective study to see what the impact is. And was discouraged to do that down to what we have now in our rules and regulations of, I think it's a half mile around the perimeter of the subdivision, which to me doesn't look like it really takes into effect of any other subdivision that might be a mile away. You know, so are you interested in reading, at some time when we're talking about it, to pick those subjects back up and look at them?
Certainly, I think that's an appropriate action to take. As far as the gallons per minute capability of a well or something, that's going to be, that needs to be very carefully worded how that's done, because the devil's in the details, as they always say on regulations and that sort of thing. You have to look at the language of the proposed changes. And similarly, the distance of subdivision, we have to look at a neighboring subdivision, half a mile, that needs to be discussed, and a equitable, reasonable decision made on that too. I think it's all doable, but we just need to have a conversation about it. And the groundwater district is certainly willing to participate.
There's nothing further. The original motion by Commissioner Leisman, seconded by Commissioner Eager, to approve the final subdivision plan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Before we get to item 16, we could do the addendum item that was also posted in concert. Consider approving arrangement for the private road at Magic Springs Road, AW Range Road.
Yes, sir. I'll make a motion to approve, changing a private road J.W. Ranch Road.
Is there a second?
I'll say it.
Commissioner Weir, discussion?
How many people live down the road?
It's only one landowner.
It's one landowner, and I think there's 2 houses there.
So,
There's nothing, permanently, they're gonna be used as guest houses.
okay.
They own additional property to the south of the district.
What was wrong with Magic Springs?
The new
Good
owner,
try.
the new owner did not like it.
Okay. Is this, okay. We're not going down a hill really steep, are we?
I don't believe so, Russia. Most people don't want to pay the fees.
I got an email on it, and it was, I can't remember what it was, they bring with it, but there was something about the name that just didn't say.
Anything else?
Is this at Mountain House?
Sorry?
Where's the location?
Subdivision Creek Road.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any else? And all opposed? Motion carries. Now let's go to 16. The releasing letter of credit.
So this is a subdivision of Trinity Oaks, which they did a letter of credit in lieu of maintenance bond. And all of it has been completed and the time has expired. So I'd like to make a motion to approve an order releasing the letter of credit in lieu of maintenance bond for the Trinity Oaks subdivision.
Is there a second? Second. Mr. Bryant, discussion. Drove by this one the other day. Is it, how built out is it, do you think?
30% on? You've been under it?
I haven't been out there in a long time, Chris, but I'm guessing somewhere, 20-30%, something like that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 17. I would point out that the Llano County proposed burn ban yesterday.
So does Gillespie.
Sorry,
So did Gillespie.
so did Gillespie.
I know there's small chances, but we got chances today, 100% today, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So, chances, small chances.
I don't want to get busted. Look, it doesn't. Fire marshal's still good.
Fire inspector.
Fire inspector.
It was gonna be my recommendation before regulating that burn ban stay lifted. I realized the other times put it in before it started raining. I did talk to the other fire departments, they're in agreement, and there's several property owners that still get burned off, coastal stuff, so.
Yes. Just to clarify, under the statute, you are technically a fire official for the county, and that's what we named you. And you gotta imagine that you could be a fire marshal, but you're a fire official, and you have inspectors that will report you.
Correct.
Anything else? All in favor, moving to item 18.
Wait, motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?